There's a lot of people here today. We're going to talk a lot about gay rights. We're going to talk about LGBT. We're going to talk about homophobia. I think in all of this, there's just one thing that I think is very, very important for everyone to take away. What we're talking about today are human rights. We're talking about basic human rights. We're talking about not discriminating against people based on the way that they look, based on their sexual orientation, based on who they choose to be in a relationship with. These are basic human rights. And in the midst of all this, there will be talks on morality, on legality. I think the important takeaway is this. Thank you. I'm not going to take up any more time.
One moment where I get to pretend to be the Secretary General of the United Nations. I have a special message for you from Ban Ki-moon, which I will now deliver. Distinguished friends, I'm pleased to offer my warmest congratulations to all of those participating in the launch of the United Nations Free and Equal campaign in India. I'm honored by the presence of leading stars of Indian cinema and influential Indian human rights activists who've come together today to help us unveil the first ever United Nations Bollywood-style music video, which we hope will carry a message of equality to millions of people. I sincerely thank the star of our new video, our equality champion, Celina Jaitly, for her dedicated service to the United Nations and for the enormous contribution that she's making to our common cause. I'm also grateful to the renowned actor Imran Khan, a leading figure in Indian cinema, for lending his support to Free and Equal. And I'm especially grateful to the activists present for standing up for the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people across India. I applaud and support you on behalf of the entire United Nations. I'm a staunch advocate of the Free and Equal campaign because I refuse to stand silent in the face of prejudice against LGBT members of our human family. Stigma and intolerance force millions of people to live in fear, in shame, and in hiding. As Secretary General of the United Nations, I appeal for an end to discrimination, abuse, violent attacks that characterize this deplorable human tragedy. The Free and Equal campaign provides an opportunity for all of us, whether as leaders, artists, journalists, activists, teachers, parents, as individuals of conscience, to take an active stand against this prejudice and support our LGBT colleagues, neighbors, friends, and family members. Everywhere I go, I have called for the immediate repeal of all laws criminalizing consensual adult same-sex relationships. These laws violate basic rights to privacy and to freedom from discrimination. And whether they're enforced or not, they actively encourage intolerant attitudes, giving homophobia a state seal of approval. Today, the United Nations and our partners issue a call to action for an end to criminalization, for effective legal protection from discrimination, for all members of our human family to be treated with the compassion, the respect, and the dignity they surely deserve. Realizing these goals will benefit affected individuals today and create a more just, stable, and hopeful world for generations to come.
Actually, all of us sat down just before the press conference and we watched this. Can I refer to it as your video? Or am I taking away from everyone else? The Free and Equal video. A lot of people have worked very hard on this, and I think it's actually a key step in breaking down these prejudices that people have. A major part of it, of these prejudices, I think stems from, I do have to take some responsibility here on behalf of my industry, in the portrayal of LGBT relationships and characters in our films, in any media. And I think this takes a very, very important step in the right direction.
Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which was constitutionally upheld by Justice Singhvi last year. The first curative petition, open court hearings are going to take place. That's very rare. It doesn't take place in open court. And for the first time, these are the third of the curative petition which has been held in the Supreme Court. And we are hoping that it will go our way. But keep all of you, just keep your you're sharp and so that everything goes our way. Thank you very much. The violence on the public sites that happens against gay and the LGBT people, especially gay men and transgender people on the streets.
Yeah, you're right. This, strangely enough, and I've always found it crazy I've always found it ludicrous that a point of discussion, but particularly when you're talking about LGBT issues, is for some reason the first knee-jerk reaction is everyone says, "Are you gay? Why are you talking about this?" Because conceivably there could be no other reason for you to be concerned about someone else. And it's something that came up shortly after we did the video. A lot of media people asked me that, aren't you afraid that people will think that you're gay? I'm like, so yeah, I never quite knew how to answer that question. I'm still not really sure how to answer the question, because in the first place it's not relevant. Whether I'm gay or I'm not gay, that's not the point. The point is, what am I saying? What are we actually talking about here? Is there merit there? It becomes a kind of a distraction technique for people to ignore what you're actually talking about.
The gossip is more important.
Yeah, by creating a tamasha and by creating a distraction, yeah. So I try to stay away from that entirely. I said, look at what we're talking about. Look at the actual issue. Again, it's something that has never really entered into my thought process. It's something that I feel strongly about, and I feel specifically with LGBT rights and issues, this is an area where we in India are dragging our feet, and we're setting ourselves up for embarrassment on the world stage. If you look around the world, the debate is at a much higher level, and there is a greater degree of freedom and liberty. And there is going to come a point where we in India are going to look very, very foolish on the world stage in front of everyone else. And I'm trying to make us look less foolish. I think it's not fair to expect any one particular industry, whether it is the film industry, whether it is sportsmen, whether it is anyone. It is a personal feeling, it is a personal prerogative. If you feel it, if you believe it, you stand up. When I stand up and speak on these issues, it is not as a representative of the film industry. It's just me personally, it's what I think and what I feel. Other people may not feel as strongly, they may not even agree with me, and that is their choice. I've seen very, very often in cases of various prejudices, it's often the oldest members of the families who are the first ones to say, listen, let's not take all of this too seriously. Honestly, I would have a concern that tying this cause into any one particular political party would be tantamount to endorsing that particular political party.
जो बनाया था हमारा इरादा ये था कि हम कुछ लोग की जो सोच होती है, there are a lot of common misconceptions, a lot of common prejudices, हम उन्हें address करना चाहते थे. We wanted to bring them out into the public and show people how they raised a very, very relevant point. This is not an issue that is tied to any one political party. Certainly, we are in the midst of elections, and that is something that is not necessarily related. This is an issue that we have been talking about for many, many years, and my fear is that it is an issue that we'll continue to talk about and that we will continue to fight for many more years. At this one particular point, political parties will certainly use it as a talking point. Whoever comes into power, this issue is going to continue to be at the forefront. It is still going to be something that we will talk about. It will still be something that we'll have to fight for, because it's not just about legality. Certainly that is a part of it. It is also about changing prejudice. It is about changing people's opinion.